Welcome everyone to this talk about bank synchronization. I'm really happy to be here back on this stage with you. So my name is Lionel Portmans. I'm accounting business analyst at Odoo. And today my goal is to tell you everything you need to know about this key aspect of real-time accounting and how you can completely revolutionize your bank booking. So, in case you have any questions at the end, you can just scan the QR code here, or you have the URL of the pad. I will make sure to put this back again at the end of the presentation, so no worries if you don't have time to scan it. And now, so let's start. When we talk about bank synchronization, we talk about automation. And when we talk about automation, we talk about this, the ability to do more in less time. But with bank synchronization, we can even go further, and we can say this: even when you sleep, Odoo will work for you. So, first thing first, maybe, what is the bank synchronization and how does it work? So, the bank synchronization is the ability for Odoo to connect to your bank account, retrieve all your bank transactions, and download them directly into your bank journal on Odoo. This is possible on your private and personal current account, and this will happen every 6 hours. That is thanks to the open banking regulation. Maybe you heard about that. We heard them more and more. And more specifically for Europe, thanks to the PSD2. So, what's PSD2? PSD2, actually, these are European directives, and the goal is to facilitate the payment process, the payment flows within Europe. But it's also as a goal to bring more transparency for the customer. So basically, that means less transaction cost, and also to bring a more secure environment for the customer. But thanks to that, it also asks the bank now to open their door so that a software like Odoo can come and connect to the bank. Actually, we are working with providers to do that. You need to know that Odoo has all the accreditation to do this, but as you can see on the screen, we can connect to more than 27,000 banks worldwide. So imagine the time it takes to maintain all those connections. That's why Odoo decided to work with third-party specialized providers who are only doing this. So here you have an overview of those providers. For the moment, we have 5. And it also allows you to synchronize not only your banks, but also your electronic payment platforms such as PayPal. So, what's new regarding the bank synchronization in Odoo 17? First thing, we completely streamline the way you can manage your bank synchronization. So now, you can manage everything from one place. Also, we changed the way you grant your access to your bank account, if I can say it like that. So that means from now on, we are doing it by bank journal. But if you have several bank accounts, you only give your consent to all of them, and Odoo will keep in memory the ones which are not yet linked to a bank journal. We already talked about that, but so now every bank transaction which are synchronized have a unique ID number. And this is definitely a game changer, because that means that Odoo knows exactly if a bank transaction was already synchronized or not, and it prevents, obviously, the duplicates. Also, for people who manage a lot of bank transactions, we are now fetching them in the background. That means that you can keep working while Odoo is fetching the bank transaction. Also, we already discussed about that as well, but thanks to this ID, we have now a new feature which allows you to find what was missing. So it was, and maybe you already experienced that, when you have your bank balance on Odoo which doesn't match your bank balance on your bank account, and you need to find out what's the variance, it was quite complex. So that's why now you have no worries anymore about that. You just go on this menu, on this feature, and you can find all the missing transactions and import them directly. Actually, Odoo will find all transactions, and it will give you also the state of those transactions, because you will also see your pending transaction, your under process. Something else regarding the onboarding, if I can say it like that, and the renewal of your bank synchronization consent, is that now we have added an email address on your bank journal. That means that you can notify directly the bank account holder, for instance. But what's good with this is that this person doesn't need to be connected on Odoo to renew the consent, or doesn't even have to be a user. So I'm sure all the accounting firm, if there are some listening to me, you will be really happy about this one as well. Regarding the proxy server of the bank synchronization, it was upgraded and completely cleaned. That means that it has now much better performance. And also for the users using here Ponto, just know that we improved the user experience at 2 levels. The first one, you don't have anymore to re-enter your credential once you connect to the bank synchronization, to the provider, and then to your bank account. Odoo now takes the information on your user form and will already pre-populate this for you. But also, if you renew your consent to one of your bank, now it will already extend, it will also extend your consent to all the bank accounts linked to your Ponto account. So this is also good news for all our users using Ponto. And then finally, and then I'll show you into the database, but now in case your bank synchronization goes to like an error stage, it can happen, you will see it directly on your dashboard, on the bank journal, you see it, and you will have a warning with a button. And when you click on this button to report the issue, you will be bring back to a pre-populated support ticket with all the needed information for the support to help you easily. So you don't have to worry about that as well. So now let's jump into a database. So here I'm on my database, and when you see here on my accounting application, I have several bank accounts here for our talk of today. But before going and doing my first synchronization, I would just like to highlight the fact that on my customer invoice here, you can see that I have unpaid invoice. So let's connect my bank here. So I just need to come on the bank journal and click on connect. So here I will have the possibility to select my bank. And when I select my bank, I can see the providers. You remember I told about the providers. So I can see the providers I choose, and then I just click on connect. So now I'm redirected to the platform of the providers, where I will authentify myself, and then I will just give my consent for the bank synchronization. A few clicks, you will see, and now the provider finds all the bank accounts linked to my bank. I can just select the one I want to synchronize. I can select several ones, even though I only link to one journal, as you have seen, and I will give my consent. I will be brought back to Odoo, and now, as I said, after a few clicks, you see the bank will be synchronized as soon as Odoo is refreshed. First thing we are going to see, I need to select, you see, as I selected by journal now, I need to say which bank account I want to connect. So this is the right one, and I connect it to my bank journal. As you can see here, it was fetching in the background, and now it tells me that there were 9 transactions fetched. And if we just wait a little bit, you see, even though 9 transactions are fetched, I only have to reconcile 2. And what can you see? I have no more open invoice here anymore. So let's just look a little bit at what happened. So you can see here, you find the 9 transactions, and you can see that some of them were auto-reconciled. So this happens every 6 hours for a period of 6 months, because you need to renew your consent every 6 months for the PSD2 technology. So just look at the ones which are not yet reconciled. What you can see is basically when there is a bank synchronization, Odoo posted directly the bank transaction as well, but it is posted on a bank suspense account. That means that the bank balance on your bank and the bank balance on Odoo will always match. So now let's come back to the other bank journal. And here what can we see? That my synchronization will end tomorrow. It's really visual here, I can see it. But so now, as I told you, we have the possibility to put an email address on the bank journal so that this person will be notified. Actually, this person will receive 3 emails. The first one 1 month before the expiring date. The second one 2 weeks before the expiring date. And the last one on the day of the expiring date. But you can also send it manually if you want to send another reminder to the person. And you will see it in the chatter now. You see this email that will be sent. You see that there is a button on it. So this person doesn't need to go into Odoo. He can just come, click on the renew consent, and he will be redirected directly to the provider platform, and he will be able to extend his synchronization. Now, let's come back, and here I have another bank journal where I need to extend the synchronization as well. You see that if I go on the date here, on the message, I can extend. I have a button to extend directly. So let's just click on it. You see that I'm redirected again on the provider platform, and he will so retrieve all my banks, again my bank accounts, and I can just select the one I want to grant again my consent and authorize it again. I will be brought back to Odoo, and now let's just see, and you see that the connection was extended, so it is as simple as that. But now, what about your bank balance doesn't match with your bank balance on Odoo, and you wonder what is missing? You just need to go on the bank reconciliation view, and you see here, you have a new feature of Odoo 17 where you can find all the missing transactions. You just click on it, you select until which date, so the last time you checked your bank balance and it was okay, you know that at that moment it was fine, so you just start from this date, and you go and fetch every bank transaction which might be missing. And you see that Odoo can retrieve everything, and I have here the states. Is it a pending transaction, not yet processed by your bank, or is it already a posted one? You can just select them all and import them back. As simple as that. So, you remember also, for the first bank, I said that I gave consent to 2 banks. So now, actually the second bank, I don't have any bank journal for that, but I'm like, okay, now I would like to synchronize it. I would like to have it. Actually, I can just come and add it. I don't need to redo the process. I can just come here, and you see on top here, Odoo kept in memory all the bank accounts which are already synchronized, for which I already have a consent, sorry. And so I can just click on this one and come to connect it. Not only so it's synchronized, because I already gave my consent, but we can see that it creates my bank journal for me. I don't even have to create the bank journal myself. So now, let's go a little bit more into details about the bank reconciliation. Let's come back here to the bank reconciliation of our main first account. And you see here, I only looked at the one which are not matched. Actually, it is just a filter. So I will just remove the filter here, and now I see all the bank transactions. So basically, thanks to reconciliation model, we can completely also speed up our reconciliation process. Here you can see that Odoo, so the synchronization downloaded the bank transaction, and Odoo was able to retrieve the corresponding invoices which was paid and to match them automatically. But it can go further than that. Let's look at this here, bank transaction. Here, my customer paid me. Odoo did the auto reconciliation here, but it also applied a cash discount. I would like to make sure it is correct. I can just click on the invoice reference here, invoice number, and I'm brought to the the invoice here. And on the invoice, I don't know if it's clear enough for you, you can see that if the customer paid before the 13th of October, he could only pay this discounted amount. So let's come back to the bank reconciliation, and I can see that he paid on the 7th of October. So this was correct, so Odoo did everything correct. And also, if you have, for instance, here a customer who pays you several invoices in one payment, it's not a problem for Odoo. You can see that Odoo was able to retrieve all the invoices and to match them directly. So now how can we speed up also the other ones remaining? You see here is for car electricity recharge. This is something recurrent, so I will also use a reconciliation model. And I will just have my reconciliation here with a button in this case. I click on it, and my account here is fulfilled. But I can also now, as from Odoo 17, link this to a vehicle from my bank entries. So I can directly link this charge, this expense, to the vehicle, and now I can validate. And then here, it's also another model that I put in place, instead to speed up the process. Here, I don't have to do anything. You see that thanks to the label of my bank transaction, Odoo was able to see and to retrieve that these was bank fees and to put the right the right general account, expense account. So I just have to validate, and now I finished with my bank reconciliation. So you remember when I told you at the beginning that it will completely revolutionize your bank posting? So as we have seen, this happens even when you sleep, because every 6 hours this can happen. So let's just come back here to the slides. All the things I showed you regarding the bank synchronization, you need to know that there is no setup cost, no maintenance cost. You can just synchronize it for free. So we have seen everything about the bank reconciliation, real-time accounting, and how to speed up your bank posting process, bank reconciliation process, but I'm not done anymore yet. What's next? So we are working on more providers. So basically now we will increase the coverage because we are going to be compliant with the open banking standard. So that's really good for all the Anglo-Saxon countries listening to me. And also, we will be compliant with the Swiss standards. So you see here an overview of the new providers. So for Switzerland, we will work with B-Link. For the LATAM, we will have a specialized provider called Belvo. For Asia continent, we are going to work with Finverse, and we will improve also for New Zealand the Yodlee. So Yodlee, it's an existing provider, but we will definitely improve the coverage in New Zealand. And Australia, sorry. So the next step is also the PSD3. So those European directives, they are keep evolving. And so basically the biggest change with the PSD3 technology is going to be that now you will have a platform to see all the consent you gave to whatever software. So you will be able to manage them much easier, much better. But the purpose is also to give even more transparency for the final customer, which is always a good news for us, right? And last but not least, thanks to this open banking regulation and technology, we will be able to initiate the payment directly from Odoo. That means that you can just create your payments in Odoo, approve them in Odoo, and process them from Odoo without having to go out and to connect to your bank platform. So that was it for the bank synchronization. Thank you for your attention, and I put back the pad for your questions.
Thank you, Lionel, for the very insightful talk. We obviously have a few questions from our audience.
Great.
First question, with the bank synchronization, we can also link PayPal. How do you manage PayPal provisions and the amount received to the account?
For paper provision, I'm not sure about what this means, but so it will work the same way as a normal bank account. So basically, it's just about retrieving the bank transaction, and in this case on your PayPal account, and downloading them into Odoo, so you can then match them with what's paid or the payment you received.
Thank you. Another question, how would you resolve issues with a provider, possibly?
So again, I don't know which kind of issues. So basically, the providers they are specialized. So basically, they are only doing that. It might be that with a provider regarding your bank, you need to know that the banks. So the PSD2, as I said, technology is asking the bank to open their door. For the bank, sometimes it's not a good news because they collect some fees on the bank transaction. So basically, sometimes they try maybe to make it a bit difficult, but the providers are always working to improve this technology to make it even every day better. So yeah, I would say it's maybe most likely if you have an issue with a provider, you should just contact him directly to see if he's working on making it better. But I would say it might come from the bank, and most of the time it comes from your bank directly, which makes it, as I said, a bit maybe difficult.
Thank you for the explanation. And in what frequency the bank synchronization happens in a day? Can we sync maybe manually?
So you can fetch manually if you want. So as I said, it will fetch every 6 hours. But if you want to speed up the process, you can just also fetch manually the transaction. So then you are up to date.
Perfect. There is also a statement. So some banks have a PSD2, but they don't allow to prepare a key for 90 days. We need for every synchronization the credentials. What can we do? That's the question of the audience.
So not sure to what's exactly the question?
So for some banks have PSD2, but they don't allow to prepare a key for 90 days, and they need to for every synchronization to enter the credentials again.
That's weird. Never heard about this one, to be honest. So if the person asking this question can definitely come at our booth. We have an accounting expertise booth, so just maybe pass by and we can look at that together.
Perfect. And will these improvements that you showed during your presentation be available for previous versions or only for Odoo 17?
So that depends on which things. So I'm not sure about if we are going to backport what we say backport that. So here I would prefer not to say anything indeed in this case. Also it depends definitely of which features I showed. So again, if you have like really specific question about this, we can discuss at the booth as well, because there will be also the technical person there.
Awesome. And which provider would you recommend in Europe? Because this person is working with Saltage and has some issues currently.
So Saltage is like worldwide, I would say. You have enabled banking, which is maybe more specific for Europe and Scandinavian countries. So you can try this one if you have it. So yeah, I would say if it's Switzerland, then you should just wait a little bit. So we will have this new provider. So yeah, that's my. Yeah.
Okay. And do we have any plans for African countries?
So, as I said, you have Saltage and Yodlee, which are available worldwide. So, for the moment, these are the two that we will have, the two providers we will have. If there is any specific provider specialized in the African country, we will for sure at some point do something. But for the moment, the specificity, the new providers, as I showed, are so for Africa, there is still Saltage and Yodlee.
Moving to another continent now, when can we expect Indian banks to be available for bank synchronization?
That's a good one. For this one, I will say as I said, we are always working on increasing the coverage. But so in this case, I cannot give you any vision on that or any deadline on that. So unfortunately, yeah.
Okay. And we will have 6 Blink synchronization still in version 17.
The 6. So
6 or Blink synchronization.
yeah, so that's what. Yeah, exactly. So we are almost done with this one. So for all the Swiss customers, so that's good news. So we are almost done. So it will come shortly. As I said, I put that in the what's next. But for some of the feature, we are close to the end. So for all Switzerland, when B-Link 6 will be ready, then you will be able to synchronize all the Swiss banks.
Thank you for your answers. Sadly enough, we are running out of time, but if for the rest of the questions, you can gladly come to the booth and ask them personally, as Lionel said before.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.